Hello, and very pleased to have you with me again. It's an interesting fact of life that quite often people who inflict hurt on others are people who have been hurt and are hurt themselves. There is the saying that hurting people hurt. And the fact is that the opposite is also true. Although it may seem counterintuitive to say, that someone who has suffered hurt and knows what it's like will inflict hurt on others. It does happen. But as I say, the opposite is true in that loving people are people who know they are loved. And this is why a relationship with God is so important in our lives, because it is with God and knowing Him and having a relationship with Him that we can experience His love for us. A love unlike any other, a love that's unconditional, constant, and He's always there looking out for our good no matter what we do. Interesting is that quite often we see when we start talking about this part of our relationship with God that people see all sorts of difficulties and problems and can't really understand how it all works. One example would be that as I'm doing this talk, we're approaching the Sunday in which we celebrate the Holy Trinity, and many people see this thing of three persons, one God, as a difficult mathematical formula because they're unable to make 3 equal 1. And of course, the only reason for that difficulty is that they're looking at it from the wrong point of view. If we look at our own human nature, there are a number of billion of us on this earth at the moment, and billions more have lived before us, and yet no one of us is more fully human than anyone else. We are all human beings. And the same is true of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. No one of them is more God than the other one, but they all share in the divine nature. They're all divine, and they are the one divine nature, the one divine who is God of all. Now, why I'm saying nature can help us so in these mysteries, as I say, is we saw just in our own human nature, but other things as well, because we have this relationship which developed over time between God and man. And so we have this Trinity because initially man, as we read in the Old Testament, was aware of God as the Creator, but he was a distant God, and he was very often an angry God who needed other people to stand before him and argue for their people and ask God not to vent his anger on them and so on. Then God sent his Son, Jesus Christ, into the world to show us that this is not the type of relationship that he wants with us, that his is a loving relationship where he loves us anyway, no matter what in our lives. And so we see in a person actually who was able to tell us in words what it was that God had in mind for us, that we come to a further realization, a further understanding, and therefore a closer relationship with God. And this, of course, is followed by the Holy Spirit. Now, the Holy Spirit is God indwelling in us. He puts his Spirit in us. The Old Testament talks about, I'll take out your heart of flesh, your heart of stone, and give you a heart of flesh. And this is our heart of flesh, is the Holy Spirit in us, who allows us to bring this love to the world and to live this love genuinely in all circumstances in our lives. And as I said in the beginning, it is through a close relationship with God that we'll know that we are greatly loved and will be capable of loving others. When we talk about the Holy Spirit being infused into people, we can sometimes think that, how can that be? Because, it's one Holy Spirit and we're all different. Well, there again, nature can help us, because if we consider the rain falls on everything, but it has different results in the different things that it encounters. For example, falling on a grapevine, it allows the vine to grow and produce grapes. Falling on a peach tree, it allows the tree to develop and produce peaches. The rain itself doesn't change form or substance, but its reaction in each of the plants, each of the living beings that it meets, is different. And so it is with the Holy Spirit in each of us. The Holy Spirit doesn't change. but produces different results in each one of us. And this is the marvel of God touching our lives, and who is here to touch your life in a way that he touches no one else's life, because you are complete and individual, you're completely loved by him, and you have your calling, which no one else can fulfill for you. Another good example of things that we find difficult to understand would be, how can we pass on our faith without giving away something of what we have? And here a lovely example that we all know very well is the example of a candle. When a candle is burning and you take a light from it for other candles, the candle's flame does not diminish because it's given rise to the flame in the other candles. It burns as it did before, only it's passed on that power of fire to the other candles. And so with our faith won't be diminished by sharing it with other people, but it can be shared and is there to be shared for their good, so that that power of faith can be passed on to others, and they too may burn brightly and help others to find faith. And so what my point is that in our consideration of God, we are called to know God, to love him and to serve him. And we get to know him by considering even what seem to be mysteries, looking around us for his hand in nature and for his hand in how things work, thereby understanding him better and being better able to pass on a genuine faith and a genuine relationship to those around us. And may God bless you. Thank you.